Can someone really force you into bankruptcy? Let's talk about what's called involuntary bankruptcy. Although rarely used, did you realize that someone you owe money to can force you into bankruptcy? It's called involuntary bankruptcy. Basically, if you don't pay your debts to a creditor, they have the option of forcing you into bankruptcy. The main requirement here is that you are not paying your debts. Now, there are some other requirements and there's some exclusions. For example, you can't force a bank into bankruptcy. You can't force a nonprofit into bankruptcy. There's some other exceptions that are there. But this is certainly a risk if you have substantial debts and you're not paying those debts, especially if you're not making a good faith effort to pay those debts. If a creditor wants, the creditor can spend money to force you into bankruptcy. Creditor is just a simple term for the person you owe money to. So how that works is the creditor files in the bankruptcy court and asks the bankruptcy court to initiate an involuntary bankruptcy against you or your business. Conversely, let's imagine somebody owes you or your business money. You have the option of asking the bankruptcy court to commence an involuntary bankruptcy against the person who owes you money, the debtor. Now, there are some reasons you may not want to do this. First off, it's expensive. There are legal fees involved. Second, it takes time. Third, the bankruptcy court will take a look at all the other creditors that person owes money to. And usually, it's divided up with a percentage to each creditor. Now, how the bankruptcy court does that depends on the circumstances, but the bottom line is you might not get it much if you force that company or that person who owes you money into bankruptcy. You may be better off getting a settlement where they pay you a certain amount of money as a lump sum, or you can work out some other arrangement. But if they're just ignoring you, you can either sue them or you can look at an involuntary bankruptcy, which essentially still requires you to prove in the bankruptcy court that they owe you money. So typically you're going to work with a sophisticated bankruptcy attorney in order to do this. This is not your classic bankruptcy attorney who helps people file for bankruptcy. Typically it's an attorney who represents creditors in bankruptcies. These attorneys aren't cheap. They typically have higher rates than most attorneys. They're often in larger law firms. So if you are looking to force a person to pay you money, I recommend either working with an attorney who represents creditors in collections or looking for a creditor's bankruptcy attorney. And most of the small bankruptcy firms, they represent lawyers who help people file bankruptcy. What you're looking for is a law firm that will represent the creditor against an individual who owes the money. You are welcome to subscribe to our little reminder email system at aaronhall.com/free. I'm Aaron Hall, an attorney for business owners and entrepreneurial companies. It was a pleasure talking with you today and answering your questions from an educational perspective. As I always say, before you rely on any of this, consult with an attorney. It's my hope that you use these questions to identify topics and questions to bring up with your attorney. I hope you are doing well. Take care.